my name is Steve. I am the Affordable Life Coach. In these videos, I like to share a lot of things that come up in sessions or stuff from my own research. Today, we're going to talk about thoughts and specifically ANTS, ANTS, automatic negative thoughts. I've read research where it's been as low as 6,200 thoughts we have average per day to up to 60 to 80,000 thoughts that we have per day. So it's kind of all over the place. But let's just even take the lower number, 6,000. That is a lot of thoughts bombarding us throughout the day. And what I find is my clients struggle with these thoughts. We all as human beings struggle with these thoughts because a lot of these thoughts are alarm signals that are trying to protect us. The way our brain through evolution has developed is to be on alert. And it's always going to be on alert for danger. And your past is a great indicator of what you will worry about in the present or the future. Because when we're traumatized, when we've had pain, when we've had suffering, when we have specific instances of something that made us feel badly or was a threat to our survival or a threat to our acceptance within the tribe or within the family or at work or with romantic partners, our brain, then the antennas go up and it goes like, okay, it's constantly, I got to be on alert. And a lot of things that will cause us to be on alert are completely irrational. For example, an example would be, I forgot where I read this, but it was like the meerkat, in Africa, those little cats, those little animals that will go up and, come out of the hole, and one will be on guard for predators and as they go out and hunt and eat and mate and do things like that. And the fascinating thing about that is even when they are confined in the zoo, if a plane flies overhead, they will scurry and run and hide for cover. Why? Because through their evolution, they realized a shadow overhead means a predator. I mean, that was probably one of their biggest predators, snakes and birds of prey. And so when they see a shadow, they go, oh my God, panic, stress, let's get to safety. Something terrible might happen. And our brains are the same way. If something happens that is associated with what happened, when we had previous trauma before, we're going to be on high alert. So if we've had a partner that has cheated on us and they started disengaging in the relationship slowly, gradually the text messages, the phone calls, the dates, the time together, the sex diminished, the emotional intimacy diminished, their communication diminished. You might be in a relationship with a completely new partner, and that partner might exhibit some of those signals for completely different reasons that has nothing to do with the relationship. And then your antennas go up. Oh my God, warning, this is familiar territory for me. This happened to me before. We need to panic. We need to protect ourselves. We need to figure out how to solve this so that we don't get hurt or traumatized or suffer again. And those are what are called ANTS, automatic negative thoughts. There's a book, it's called You Are Not Your Brain. Not the greatest book, I'm not recommending it, but one of the principles of that book, it talked about you simply just cannot control your thoughts. Our thoughts, we're constantly thinking throughout the day. That's why for so many people, meditation is such a huge struggle because our thoughts are constantly on. And the idea of meditation, I think a lot of people misinterpret this. The idea of meditation is not to get rid of your thoughts and have a blank mind. That might be the goal of a lot of people, but that's nearly impossible for most of us, and it's not even necessary. What we want to focus on in meditation is not identifying with the thoughts, not engaging with the thoughts, not getting sucked into the emotional drama of the thoughts, because that's where we go down a slippery slope. Oh, my partner might be cheating on me, Or my boss wants to talk to me after work, and last time my boss wanted to talk to me after work, I got fired, and now the alarm bells are going off, and the brain will go into catastrophizing. It'll go into mind reading, trying to mind read what the boss is going to say or is going to do, or what your partner is thinking if they're wanting to leave the relationship, and it will veer towards negativity. We are hardwired to our thoughts to focus on the negative because that's the way you prevent it. And our ancestors, when they didn't focus on the negative, it was a matter of life or death. Eat the wrong fruit, eat the wrong berry, go to the wrong, go outside of your safe area of where you lived, in going into other tribes where you could be attacked, or where animals of prey could prey on you in unfamiliar territory, or if you're make a mistake and don't bring enough food or water, you might not survive the journey, or you might not survive the winter. So it's good that our brains are focused on all the things that we need to be worried and concerned about. The downside of it is it's really not necessary in modern society, because we live in the best time in the history of the world where you can just go to the supermarket, you get food, you can travel to different countries around the world and be relatively safe, if not completely safe. I mean, you still have to be careful, but it's completely different. But our brain has not been refreshed. It's still operating on that old paradigm, and new stuff gets added on top of old hardware. And so it's kind of like this, where it's an old brain that was accustomed to hunter-gatherer days living in a modern world, and it really has difficulty in adapting, and it creates a lot of anxiety. And social acceptance or social rejection can be a big source of anxiety for a lot of clients that I'm coaching. And it makes sense, because if we got kicked out of our tribe, if we got rejected, it could mean the end, the death. So, or are we just not going to get as much resources if our tribe members are not happy with us, or if we're being ostracized. So all of these things are old patterns, but in modern times, you just find another job, or you find a new set of friends, or you just spend time on your own. You're not going to suffer to the same degree, or your life is not going to be in jeopardy. But again, it's old hardware, and one of the beautiful things about like meditation or mindfulness or awareness or journaling or CBT is that it enables you to not get swept away with the automatic negative thoughts that will just freak people out. And I've been doing this for a long time. I got involved in self-development, psychology, and growth at a very young age. Probably when I was 12, 13, 14. It was a very young age, and I still struggle with it, to this day. And I meditate, and I do, I journal, and I do all types of things. But the difference is you want to be able to see progress. And I think that's the important thing. Progress, not perfection. And you want to it takes time. It's not an overnight fix. You're still going to get anxious. You're still going to get triggered by old things. But if you avoid those things that scare you or that fear you, or if you're constantly giving in to the things that scare you, it's called safety behaviors. I need to feel safe. I don't know where my partner is. I'm going to text them. I'm going to call them. I'm going to hound them to, make sure that they're not out with another person or something like that. If you engage in those safety behaviors, you are reinforcing the fear, and then you become very dependent on safety behaviors. And it actually, in the short term, it might alleviate the anxiety, like, ooh, they're not with somebody else. I feel so much better. But you're going to need that reassurance and engage in those safety behaviors in the future. What's much better is just to communicate and talk to your partner about it in a non-possessive, controlling way. Hey, you know what? I was cheated on before. I had this heartbreak, or I had this issue come up with the past, and I just wanted to share it with you and be able to talk about it with you. And talking about it really alleviates that. And that's a healthy way to do it, instead of snooping on their phone or trying to control their actions or becoming possessive or jealous. And these automatic thoughts, what creates so much anxiety, we are so conditioned to believe that it's something external that's creating the anxiety. This is they're guilty, it's their responsibility, that why I feel anxious. And then we give our power away because we are not taking responsibility and saying, you know what, it's my thoughts, it's my reaction to my thoughts, it's my reaction to what happens in my external environment that is causing the suffering. Because when you blame something external, or you blame another person or whatever it might be, you're giving your power away and you're not focusing on, no, the true cause is me. I'm the problem and I'm the solution. And that's why it's so important, one, to be able to distinguish between the signal and the noise. So if we have 6,000, 70,000, 20,000, however many thoughts we have in a day, the majority of that is just going to be noise, just static, like on a radio station. Not necessary to react to, not necessary to pay attention to, because it's irrational. It's an emotional, visceral reaction that we're having to our environment. It's not controllable, but how we respond to it is controllable, and we don't have to take it seriously because it's not based in facts, it's not based in reality. And there's been studies that have shown they've done studies where people would, they would track their worries and their fears, and 80% of people's worries and fears never happen. 15% of them happen, but not nearly as bad as they thought that it would happen. And then 5% actually of their fears and worries happen. So, basically I'd say that's a 95% success rate that things are going to be okay. And we just need to remind ourselves, just that, these things aren't happening. Just look back in your lives, in your history. And I look back at the things that cause me anxiety, stress, fear, worry. And I'm like, God, the majority of it never even happened. And for the things that did happen, I can learn from it. I can grow from it. It doesn't have to be a negative, traumatic, devastating experience. It's the way we process it. And we could go, as one of my clients said, suffering has led to the most growth in his life. And it's actually transformed his self-development. And, so that's another really healthy way that we can approach it. But it's just not trying to control our thoughts and our worries and fears and push them away. The more you resist it, your brain will then send the signal stronger. Oh, he or she's pushing this fear, worry, or concern away, and the fear part of your brain goes, no, this is something that needs to be taken seriously. Let me turn up the volume. Let me crank up the volume. And instead of just it's an emotional storm. And what I do is I also help clients is learning how to ride the wave. We'll have emotional storms, things that cause us to get in the red zone or the orange zone where we're really stressed, we're emotional, we're fearful, our personalities are kind of shut down, we're feeling bad or negative. And it just takes time. And everybody has a different time for that storm to pass. Some people, it could be a half hour going for a short walk. Oftentimes I'll notice if I'm in an emotional storm, if I do some journaling, it will help expedite it. Sometimes it could be a half day, but it eventually will pass. You just don't want to fight it and try to get rid of it. You want to try to learn and grow from the emotional storm and the anxiety and the things that are coming up. And talking to someone, having a coach is very, very effective. There's times when my clients will have an emotional storm and they'll have an urgent session. And sometimes all we need is 15 minutes. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so much better. I'm in a much calmer, relaxed state. I was able to process the emotional storm. I was able to release it, and I feel a lot better. And again, there's so many techniques that you could do. A real strong meditation practice. That's why time in silence is so important. We just don't spend enough time in silence. And stillness and silence helps us to come up with solutions and resolutions and problem solve for things that cause us to suffer. So, just turning off the screens, spending time in nature, spending time in meditation, or even just simply staring at the wall and just listening to your wise mind and let it give you guidance. But oftentimes we can't hear our wise mind because we're constantly busy or distracted, or our mind is engaged in passive entertainment or whatever it is. So that's a beautiful thing as far as being able to navigate these emotional storms or these ANTS, all these automatic negative thoughts. The other thing I love this strategy is, which I really help guide my clients through, and we do a role play, which makes it even more effective, is asking that fearful thought or the fearful part of your brain. If it says like, I'm worried I'm going to get fired from my job, or I'm worried that my partner's cheating on me, or I'm worried I'm not going to have enough money to pay the bills. Ask it this question, because it will judge you in very general ways. It'll say, you're not good enough, you're lazy, you're not adequate for this person, or you're an imposter at your job, you don't deserve to be at your job, so you deserve to be fired. It comes up with all these generalizations, and a great question to cut through all that nonsense and all that harsh self-criticism is ask it, okay, you're telling me, my fearful brain is telling me this specific fear or worry or concern that's creating an anxious or stressed response. Asking that part of your brain, what do you specifically want me to do? So if somebody is worried about finances, you ask it, what do you specifically want me to do? Instead of it saying, you're not good with money, you're gonna go broke, or you're gonna be out on the streets, or you're gonna go bankrupt, or you're not gonna pay your bills. Say, what do you specifically want me to do? And then write it down. And it is amazing how often it will give very good solutions to address the concerns or the fears. So what do you specifically want? Let's take the financial one. What do you specifically want to do? Hey, maybe it says, I want you to start a side business, so you get a little bit extra income. Hey, I want you to get a life coach that's going to help you better manage your money, so your money is, you're budgeting and you're sticking to your budget. Hey, what I want you to do, I want you to rent out the extra room that you have, so you have supplemental income. One of my clients is doing Airbnb, and that was a very good solution to dealing with money concerns. What I want you to do, I want you to start applying for new jobs, different jobs. Hey, I want you to ask the boss for a raise and make a very valid case of why you deserve to be paid more. Or I want you to take additional courses so you improve your skill set and your knowledge base, so you're more in demand for your career, or you're able to provide more value. So there's always solutions that we can do. But when we focus so much on the worry, fear, and anxiety, it shuts us down, and we go to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. So and a lot of people just freeze. I don't know what to do. And then we go to escapism entertainment, or escapism addiction, like food addiction or gambling or internet addiction. And it really numbs the very pain and suffering we need in order to motivate us, inspire us, to take action. And that's what we really want to focus. One of the worst things we can do is, when we are feeling this overwhelm or anxious or worried or fearful, is to numb out on screens, or to numb out in an addiction, because it stifles you. When you're numbing out, it's like taking an aspirin. You're not addressing the true cause of the pain. You're just addressing the symptom, and then the pain is still going to be there. Some of my clients, for example, social anxiety, they might get lonely and they'll numb out with screens, because it's kind of like a pseudo or false sense of companionship, watching other people on screens, living lives and doing things. And what we really need to do is just like, okay, let's work with my coach, and we're going to do some gentle social stretching and getting out of my comfort zone and start expanding my social network. So I look at it, and what I recommend with my clients is, it's when we get anxious, stressed, worried, or fearful, look at it as a call to action. That there is something that we can do to empower ourselves to deal with the situation, so we don't feel helpless, and that's or powerless, and that's the worst feeling, because it leads to feeling depressed, or really leads to isolation or low moods. And having someone that supports you, like a life coach, it makes a world of difference, and it's something that everybody benefits from. And it's just amazing the transformation clients are able to make with someone that I've been doing this full time for I think that's going on like 12 years. This is my career, what I do, and this is all I do. And it just really makes a huge difference having support from someone that's not a friend or family member. And then other things are really helpful, like journaling is really helpful, meditation practice, but just kind of self-reflection and getting to know yourself and spending time alone with yourself really, really helps, because you're able to dive deeper and tap into your intuition or wise mind. If you like very affordable coaching, the consultation's free. Shoot me an email. It's in the description. If you'd like to support the channel, I really don't rely too much on ad revenue. It's very, very minimal. So anything you can do is really, even if it's just $1 a month or just a one-time donation, it's greatly appreciated. There's a PayPal link in the description. And if you want to see more of these types of videos and you got value from it, please share, like, subscribe, the usual type of stuff. And thank you very much for tuning in. And I appreciate your comments and any suggestions you have of how you can apply what I've discussed in this video, because it's not about just taking in knowledge, it's about application of the knowledge. And so some of the things I've suggested, I'd love to see in the comments how you plan on applying it in your life, or how you can apply it. All right, thanks for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.